and thank you so much for joining, everyone. Today we have another webinar from Mira. This very interesting and important topic. And we have amazing speakers who will talk a little bit more about themselves first. And we probably can start from Fatin, who is the head of medical affairs at ExSeed, and she can explain a little bit more about herself.
Okay, can you hear me, everyone? Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to share some of the knowledge I have on male fertility. I am a medical doctor and I've been with ExSeed for 3 years. Yeah, I'm a mom also of 3 children, and 2 of them were actually conceived with ExSeed, and the third one was natural pregnancy. So we were also lucky to have that opportunity. In ExSeed, I am, as you said, head of medical. I am working with the clinical trials, building up a scientific advisory board, and actually dealing with also some of the bootcamp patients or males we have, and coach them to better sperm quality. Also, I write the blog articles and within also internal testing of the device, ExSeed Health device. So a little bit of all over, but mostly with the medical issues that we have in ExSeed. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you so much. And we also have Ian, who is a co-founder of Fertility Network UK's female fertility support group. And I think he can also introduce himself a little bit more.
Thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me along to be on this group tonight. It's fantastic, and I love seeing male fertility being discussed in this way and being part of that. But yeah, my background, I'm based here in Hove, in what is tonight is sunny England for once. And I've been a fertility and wellness expert. I've been supporting couples through their fertility journeys for about 14 years, nearly 14 and a half years. I've been practicing doing what I do. And for me, it's very much about empowering people around their health and their fertility, helping them with good lifestyle choices, good habits, and just helping them get into the best possible place around their fertility when so much else is out of their control. So helping them with all the stress and emotions and ups and downs of that. But I'm exceptionally passionate about supporting men because I've come to learn over this time in practice how under-supported men are, and that they need the help, and there's not enough people offering that support and help to guys, guiding them on lifestyle, diet, stress management, and directing them on further testing. And yes, last year I was invited to co-host Fertility Network UK's male fertility support group, and that has gone from strength to strength, and we now have partnered with Rod Gilbert, the comedian, and his infertility campaign, and we meet on a monthly basis via Zoom, and we have had people from all over the world. So, if you are in Canada or America, wherever you are, you're welcome to join us. And it's a great support network and great group for guys to just share their experiences and hear from other men. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you so much, Ian. And we also have Shaun, who can introduce himself.
Hello there. Thanks for having me. I'm Shaun, and I must say, unlike Fatin and Ian, I'm not a professional and not a specialist at all. Who and what I am is someone who has lived through male factor infertility. So I now openly share my story of that to try and help others to openly talk about what I went through as a man experiencing this. I wasn't always as open as I am now. In fact, throughout most of the journey, I didn't tell anyone, apart from my wife and 2 of our closest family members. So I know what it's like to be in that isolated place where you don't know who to go to or where to turn to. Thankfully, now that conversation is growing, and there are more people out there like Ian who we can turn to, and there's more people sharing their story, hopefully like myself, and by doing so we can normalize that and let men know they're not alone. So I'm now the proud father to donor conceived twins, conceived via donor sperm after being diagnosed with 0 sperms, azoospermia.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's a nice story, and I'm sure we will hear a little bit more. And I just will introduce myself. So my name is Olga, and I'm a business development and marketing manager at Mira, and I've been with the company for more than a year now, and I absolutely love our product, and it's quite nice, and I'm very happy to be a part of Mira's mission to help people with their health, to understand their fertility and their bodies better. And even though we're going to talk about male fertility today, just a short introduction of Mira. I know that some of you use Mira already, those people who join our webinar, but some people are new. For those of you who are not familiar with Mira, Mira is a fertility and ovulation hormone tracker, which measure key fertility hormones and provides numerical values of those hormones. And by tracking the hormones, Mira predicts the full fertile window, which is your most fertile days during a cycle. And Mira was created, as I said before, to help women to learn more about their health and at the comfort of their homes. One of the ways to measure hormones and get precise hormone levels is blood test, but it is not always convenient to do and not always possible to measure at home. We test hormones in the urine. You just need our tracker, our test ones, so it's really easy to use at home. And we sort of more than just a hormone tracker, as all your hormone test results are safe on our app. And the app learns your changing hormone patterns and provides you with personalized cycle data, fertility scores, calendars, and charts. And so far, Mira has helped more than 20,000 women around the globe to get pregnant. And Mira can be used not only for those who are trying to conceive. So Mira also can be used for those who are trying to avoid pregnancy naturally, for those who have irregular cycles and certain conditions like PCOS. Also, it can be used for women to track estrogen when ovulation is coming back if they breastfeed, and also to track estrogen during perimenopause. So there are very different purposes. And our product, Mira Fertility Plus, measures exact levels of luteinizing hormone and estrogen. So having this information, you can plan your intercourse around the days when you are the most fertile. This summer, we also introduce a new test once, which is Mira Confirm. And these test once measure progesterone. With progesterone, you can confirm whether or not you have ovulated. And this information is particularly helpful for couples trying to get pregnant. And so in addition to LH and estrogen, when Mira identifying your fertile window with progesterone, we can help you to confirm that ovulation has in fact occurred. And progesterone test ones now available for pre-order and will be shipping in September. And of course, we have tracking female fertility hormones and share a lot of information about female fertility. But male fertility is also very important in conceiving process. 1 in 3 infertility cases is male related. Those male fertility can be one of the important aspects in your fertility journey. So we have decided to cover this topic to equip you with more information and hopefully help you even more. So we have partnered with ExSeed, who specializes in male fertility. You will hear just in a minute a bit more about ExSeed. For those of you who live in the UK or in the European Union, you can buy ExSeed kit on our website. Soon ExSeed will be available in the US. For other countries, we have another male fertility partner you can see on our website where you're located. And now I think Fatin will explain and introduce a little bit more about the ExSeed and what is the amazing product it is.
It is actually amazing and also very important because, as you say, 40% of the cases of infertility couples is male related. And of course, we need to check the male as soon as we have concerns of infertility. And therefore, I actually joined ExSeed because I wanted to test myself, my husband at home, because we were also were gone through ExSeed and thought it was really, he thought it was really uncomfortable going to the clinic. So I joined ExSeed because this product is so simple and it can be done at home within minutes. So the product is really small and really handy. It is used with your mobile phone, and if you have Android or iPhone, it doesn't matter. So it comes with the device itself, and also the collection cup and a sample slide. So these three things you have to use together with your mobile phone. The test is done within few minutes after the sperm sample is done, and what you want to know as a man is if you're fertile, of course, and then you need to know according to the WHO, you will need to know how much volume you produce. And there we have a cup, it's special designed, where you have a pipette in the cup and also a measurement. So you measure the volume of the sample with the cup. When you do the test with the ExSeed, you will find out the concentration of the sperm sample, but most importantly, the progressive motility. So we need to know not only the concentration, because you can have low concentration, but if the motility and the volume is high, then you might still have a good sperm sample. So we measure volume, motility, and concentration of a sperm sample, and then we calculate the total motile sperm number in the sample, which is the best predictor of male fertility. And in the app, as you can see here on the slide, you can see if you have low sperm quality, moderate or high sperm quality, and then you can be guided also to what you can do to improve sperm quality. We also have in the app a lifestyle program. And somebody's asking if there is morphology, and this is something that we are working on, but still still doesn't exist in the test parameter. So for now, it is sperm motility and concentration and volume, and that is what you can calculate. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure there are more and more development will be in the product. As any product, you always have something else to add. And yeah, thank you. Yeah. So just before we start, just a small disclaimer is we're here to help, of course, and give you more information about male fertility, but it cannot replace the medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment from a doctor. So please always ask your doctor. And if you stay with us till the end of our webinar, we have some exciting offers for both products. So don't leave, stay. And before we start, so we also will have a Q&A session in the end. But if during the webinar you have any questions, please just ask them in the chat. Some of them we will answer in the chat. Some of them we will cover in a Q&A session. And just before we start, we will have just a quick poll to ask some questions. So it will be appeared now. So if you want to answer, we're asking tell us about your fertility journey, and I will just tell the majority of the answers. And I see that 88% actively, even more actively trying to get pregnant now. And some of you just want to get pregnant in a few years. And some are trying to avoid, but the majority at the moment in our audience actively trying to get pregnant. Thank you so much for these amazing questions, and I hope we will give you more information. And there is one more question. Do you or your partner track your fertility health? So we can see that many people today in our audience using Mira. Thank you. It's nice to see. Yeah, or other at-home test kits. using fertility health consultation, a bit less people, but also it's great to see different ways to track your fertility health. So thank you so much for the for your participation in our short poll, and we gonna start to cover the most important questions about male fertility. So before our webinar, we ask our audience what questions they have about male fertility, what they would like us to cover, and we collected the most important questions, the most common questions that we're gonna answer in the next half an hour, and I hope we will cover the most important for you. And I think we can start because time is running, and one of the first and most important question is why is important to learn about your fertility? And I think maybe Shaun and Ian can answer this question and explain a little bit more about the importance.
Sure. I think, Shaun's got this personal journey that, he's going to be able to share, and I'm sure it will probably match so many other guys' story and journey that I've heard countless times. But I think, I think the important thing is by learning about your fertility, you can take control of your fertility, or you can make decisions and take positive action. There is a lot within fertility treatment and within a fertility journey if you're struggling to conceive, where suddenly a lot of things are out of your control. But actually learning about it, getting educated, getting tested, and doing that as early as you can if you're trying to start a family will give you information. And too often we see, I'm sure Fatin's the same, and like I say, I think, I wouldn't be surprised if Shaun's journey is the same. We see couples that come to see us, that will certainly come to see me, where they're 2 years down the road, they've been trying, they've done their ovulation tracking, they've been, really regimented with their sex, all the fun's gone out of their relationship, and they're like, oh, crikey, what else do we do? And what's interesting, I think, in the male fertility side of this is the guy has typically received little or no investigations whatsoever. There's, unfortunately, I think, a societal belief, certainly here in the UK, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's worldwide, that fertility is a female issue, and that, the guy, we're all told, men can, produce sperm till the day they die, and they could, in theory, father children until the day they die. So we're never led to believe that we have an issue. And I think that needs to change. So I think it's important that men learn about their fertility and they get tested early so that they know where they stand, they can take action. And if it's serious, they know that ahead of the game rather than 2-3 years of heartache down the line. Shaun, what would you add to that?
Yeah, I completely agree, Ian. I think for me, learning from my own experience, fertility is like any health. It's your own personal responsibility. And I learned the hard way so I caught mumps, and crucially I caught that post-puberty in 2005 when I was 22. And I went to the doctors. I was never told anything about its impact on fertility later in life, crucially post puberty. Then fast forward to 2011, I found a lump in my testicles, so I went to get that checked out, and the sonographer had a look with an ultrasound, and he dismissed it as it's just a cluster of tubes. Obviously, the concern was for a tumor, but what turned out to be was that cluster of tubes was a varicocele, which can also impact on fertility, male fertility. So both times, yes, perhaps if there was better education within those medical practitioners' fields as to the kind of further implications of what they're looking at, but also my own personal responsibility. I should have known more to look into what a cluster of tubes above the testicles can do. What impact can mumps later on in life, which made me extremely ill, what can that do? What are the further implications of that? And being forewarned is forearmed, as they say, and I could have been a bit more proactive about that, and perhaps had my sperm checked years before I eventually started trying with my wife, which was in 2017. So now 12 years after I first had mumps and 6 years after the varicocele was found but not identified.
Thank you so much, Shaun, for sharing the story. I think it's very important also for our audiences. Some people can relate. And I think we can move to another question. And it's about causes, what causes actually infertility in men, and what habits can impact fertility. And probably Fatin or Ian would like to cover this question.
You've actually mentioned two of them already, maybe three, but varicocele is one of the reasons that you can be infertile as a male. That is around 17 to 20% of the cases. Infections, urogenital infections, hypogonadism, also undescended testicles if they are missed, and also sexual factors. A third of the reasons, approximately a third of the reasons, that is either unexplained or due to lifestyle factors. So there are many reasons. It of course, you can't see if you produce a sperm sample, you can't see if it's good or not. So there can be some signs of infertility. For example, if you have low testosterone, you can have fatigue or hair loss or low libido. But in most of the cases, it is not very clear why. What is the cause of infertility? So it needs to be checked. You need to know your numbers, or as I say, know your score. So things in the past or in teenage years, for example, there are many using protein bars at the moment, and some few papers have shown that can have a negative impact. Steroids and some of the, for example, cannabis also has a huge negative impact on sperm quality. So it can be environment, but also medical or surgical conditions that can cause infertility.
Yeah, and I think what I'd add to that is, the importance of, getting a thorough assessment and a thorough history taken. And I think for a lot of the guys that I've spoken to, and as Shaun's just mentioned, it's kind of maybe some of those assessments aren't as thorough as they could be. So looking for things like a history of undescended testicles, history of mumps, any physical trauma, and doing all the relevant medical assessments. But, as the question asks, what habits can affect infertility or affect fertility for men? And this is the lifestyle stuff that I work on with clients a lot. And that is, like Fatin said, the smoking, alcohol, caffeine I've seen popped up in the chat box, cycling, tight fitting underwear, heat, all of these things, and diet is absolutely key for men. And much as, we've already kind of covered some big issues like varicocele and mumps and the impact that has, for some men, making some simple lifestyle changes can have a massive impact on their sperm quality. You've got to start with the simple basics, and that is, putting good food, good nutrition into your system, and it can have a massive impact. If that doesn't change things quickly, if you're retesting or if you're using something like the ExSeed to test your sperm quality regularly, if you've done all the lifestyle stuff and that hasn't changed, then you've got to get medically investigated and find out why your score is subpar.
It is very important for us in ExSeed, and also through the app. We've designed the app so that if you get, there are some answers in our lifestyle questionnaire. We have around 30 questions. And if some of them are ticked out, for example, if the male have had previous diseases, or if they take antipsychotic or any other medication that can have an impact, or they take out that they have some kind of a lump or anything, we directly refer them to consult a fertility specialist or their general practitioner. It's really important that they don't miss these things from the beginning. And of course, if they have low sperm quality, and depending on how the score is, we either guide them to proceed with some lifestyle changes, or if it's very, very low and we can see in the microscope that they don't have many sperm cells in the sample, we actually tell them also through the app they can contact fertility specialists directly so that they can get the good examination, as you mentioned, Ian. We don't want to miss males who might have some problems that can be resolved. So yeah.
Thank you so much. And I think the next question is following the previous question, of course. What are the best treatments to address this condition? And of course, many people looking for some natural way to increase sperm motility or count. If you can share, would be amazing.
Well, I think, I'll kind of repeat what I've said to some degree, and I see in the questions a lot of people are asking this: how can we improve motility or sperm count and what have you? And like I say, the first port of call has always got to be diet and lifestyle. And there was the question as well, how much does alcohol and cycling affect sperm health? And I think, if a guy's done semen analysis and it's subpar, then you've got to look at those elements. And if there's a guy who spends more than half an hour, 40 minutes on his bike on a regular occasion, then that may be a factor in his sperm health. If he's eating processed foods, if he's eating a lot of, or having a lot of sugary drinks and having quite a lot of alcohol, or a smoker, then a lot of that is pointing to being the reason why his semen analysis is subpar. So I would always say, focus on that stuff straight away. Plenty of water, cut down caffeine, cut down alcohol. Smoking definitely isn't good for sperm health, and as Fatin said, if you're smoking cannabis, makes most people a bit spaced out and a bit sleepy, and I think it has the same effect on sperm as well. So, I'd always say clean up lifestyle first. It's such an easy win for sperm health, and then go from there.
And furthermore, we also, of course, they need to have the diet straightened out, and if the BMI is not in range, that is a huge factor. Of course, obesity is getting more and more normal, both in UK, USA, and also here in Denmark, although we try to avoid that. But usually we need them to lose a couple of kilos so that they can normalize their BMI. If you're really obese, that can also cause very much heat directly to the testicles, and we don't need that. We need that can directly damage sperm production. Furthermore, motility and sperm concentration can be improved by supplementation, and that can also be like taking the right supplements is very important. There are many supplements out there on the market. And you need to know what are the supplements that really have an impact on these sperm parameters. We have designed the ExSeed Multi, which only contains around 10 supplementation that is really concentrated on what has scientifically proven to be good for sperm motility and concentration, because there are many supplements filled with a lot of ingredients that are not necessarily good, and maybe in a percentage that are actually damaging sperm health. It has to be in the right doses and the right combination.
All right, thank you so much. And I think for the next question, we already covered a little bit. At least we were talking, Shaun and Ian were talking about that right time for men to get tested. So when is the right time for men to get tested, and how long after trying to conceive? Because we know, for example, for women, they say if you're trying for a year, probably it's time for you to get help. Usually in the UK, you get help after a year of trying. So what is about the men as well? And I think probably Fatin and Shaun can share some information.
I can give my own experience, although we were two, I think quite healthy in the beginning as a couple. But I think when you are thinking of having a baby within the next couple of months, then it would be absolutely the right time. Women, they have more focus on their menstruation cycle, and men should also have a little bit more focus on sperm quality, because it's a huge factor if they can have a baby or not. So I would really say in the beginning of the journey, or if there's been, like, they've been trying for 3 to 4 months and nothing is happening, and maybe also using the ovulation test and nothing still is happening. So I think they both should be tested to see if everything is as it should be. And if it is, then they can continue, because the rules, for example, here in Denmark, you can actually continue for a whole year, because the chance of pregnancy per cycle is only 15 to 20%. So it's not much. So sometimes you just need to give it time, but you really need, as a couple, to know if everything is working down there. If the sperm sample is all right, if the menstruation, if the ovulation is as should be. So in the beginning, that is my best tip for today.
I think from my perspective, to answer those in reverse, so I'd say, how long after trying to conceive? Well, that's a very subjective matter. For us, my wife came off of contraception in May of 2017, and by September, October, nothing was happening. We knew that it can take around 3 months sometimes for that contraception to really get out of the system, so we weren't putting too much pressure on ourselves. But by November, I think it was, we still hadn't had any joy, so to speak. And so we went to the doctor quite soon. And I know in the UK, people can often be told to come back in a year to 18 months if they go what's deemed to be too soon. However, for us, because we knew about my mumps when I was younger, that was a concern. So we went after just a few months of trying. So I think it depends. I mean, my doctor took me very seriously because of the mumps, and we were sent for testing straight away. I think if you have a real concern and they tell you to come back and maybe try and push back a little bit, but then if that's really not, if they're really standing their ground, then nowadays we see things like what ExSeed are doing, where you can do home testing kits on the male side, for example. And the right time to get tested, I'd say, as soon as you have any concerns, go to a medical practitioner, because time is so crucial in trying to conceive. And as people that have unfortunately experienced it, it can take years from kind of initial appointments through to conceiving. And it's a long process. So I would say the sooner the better.
I think I'll just add to that point, if I may. What Shaun's just said there, I think is really valid, about the time, because typically, what I see, and I'm sure it's the same for Fatin in her practice. I'm seeing women in their mid to late 30s typically coming in who are just starting to try for a family, and a generation ago it probably would have been mid late 20s. We are getting couples that are waiting a lot longer to start their families. They're having their careers first and what have you, which is fine and understandable. But I think you've then got to take into account the effects that has on your fertility. We know female fertility begins to decline from 35, and we also know that male fertility does also decline after 40. So I would say, how long do you try before getting tested also does depend on how old you are. And actually, I wouldn't say to a couple that are maybe 36, 37, we'll give it a couple of years. I'd say go get tested as soon as you can. Kind of for the vast majority of couples, hopefully there's never going to be any problem. But part of me kind of almost thinks, okay, if you're getting ready to go on a really long car journey, or if you're taking on some kind of challenge, climbing a mountain or whatever, you want to check that everything's all right first. You want to make sure your kit's there and sorted. Why not just do that with your health and your fertility ahead of starting a family? Because you want to give yourselves the best possible chance, and you want that baby to be as healthy as possible, and you want to be as healthy, either during that pregnancy or when you become parents. Because, as Shaun's experiencing now with 5-month-old twins, it's bloody exhausting, so getting your health sorted beforehand and your fertility is a great idea.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think it's a great advice to get tested when you actually feel, but we of course know that men do not really often like to go and check their health. It's still a taboo topic. Male fertility, not many men talk about it. They think it's nothing probably serious, or they're afraid to talk about it. And of course, they go through a lot of negative experience, and it can affect also mental health. So, and the next question is actually dealing with grief and getting support, how to break down taboos. Maybe you can have and give some advice. Maybe Shaun and Ian can share something.
Sure. So grief, like any grief, there's a process to it, and there are stages. From my own experience, I didn't necessarily know that I was grieving at first, and it's only now in hindsight when I look back to periods when I was just angry all the time and just low. And I wouldn't go as far as to say I suffered depression, because I know people who have, and I wouldn't want to undermine it by saying I did, but extremely low, quiet. I went inward a lot, and I look back now and realize it was waves and phases of grief, because the death of your being able to pass on your own genetics, your own DNA is a form of grief, and it's worthy of grieving. And it's just, I think, by creating more awareness of the feelings and the complexities of emotions that come with infertility, more people can be aware and address these feelings as and when they come, rather than just kind of passively moving through it like I did. For me, at the end, the last part of the grieving process was acceptance, which obviously I reached by being able to do this now and being able to talk about it. And that leads on to the second point, which is the taboos, because in terms of male factor infertility, there's a huge taboo about it because of male pride, male ego, and perception of what and who we should be. It's about, actually, I put my story out there to try and tell people you can still be vulnerable but strong, and being a man isn't about just shutting down and not sharing any emotions, because that's just not healthy. It's not healthy for anyone to bottle up your emotions. It's about acknowledging them, recognizing them, and being emotionally intelligent. Even, I don't know, special forces, for example, they have emotions. These men, these alpha males, so to speak, they have emotions. They know how to manage them. And you don't have to bottle them up and try and be a man. You can be that man by supporting your wife or partner through this, and by dealing with your own emotions and showing that you are strong still, as I said. And it's about, it doesn't make you any less of a man not having sperm, or having trouble conceiving, for example.
I think it's such a valuable part of the discussion, this, that, you know, Shaun said, there is such a taboo about this. Guys aren't encouraged to talk about their emotions. They're not encouraged to be open. There is I guess there's a term, toxic masculinity, that floats around now, that, you know, we are expected, or men are expected, to behave or feel a certain way, and it's not been okay for guys to talk about this stuff before, and it is such a huge taboo. And the more and more we can talk about it, and doing things like this is a huge help, just letting guys know that there is help out there, and it's okay to talk. And actually, you know, as you know, people like Shaun are coming out and sharing their stories on Instagram, and there's loads of other guys that are doing the same. And with the support group that I'm running for Fertility Network UK, you know, we're seeing guys turn up, and we're seeing guys share their stories for the first ever time, and they're getting a huge amount of value from being in a Zoom room, admittedly, but being in a room with other men that are having the same experience of them. It suddenly makes them feel so much better. They're not alone. They're not, you know, some freak of nature, and what they're feeling is okay. And it's really, really magical to see guys sharing their stories on this forum, and seeing the impact that's having on them. And, you know, I think one of the best things anyone can do, and certainly any guy going through this, is find somebody to talk to and actually let it out, and it will make such a difference. And the more we do this, you know, the more we can normalize it. It's a medical issue. Yes, there are emotions to deal with, but actually it's a medical issue. It doesn't change who you are as a man. Let's help you, get you supported, and get you moving in the right direction.
Yeah, thank you so much. Is it Fatin, you want to say?
I just want to say, as a professional, as a medical doctor, it is also my responsibility and my colleagues' responsibility to also speak loud and have focus on this area. Because as Ian said, the more we educate, the more we speak out, the more campaigns, the more we tell people or write blogs and Instagram, the easier it is to talk about. Also for those couples who are entering fertility treatment, it is easier for them to tell, well, okay, I'm in this situation right now, and these are my feelings. That is why I am acting the way I do, because I'm going through a difficult time right now. And we have to normalize that it's okay not being perfect, because most, or 40% at least, of the males in these couples, they are not having the sperm quality as they expected. And the first is a shock, but afterwards there's, as you said, Shaun, there's acceptance, and then we need to help them think positive and take action instead of just sitting and doing nothing. Yeah.
I learned a fascinating fact. Sorry, I learned a fascinating fact a couple of weeks ago, that 1 in 6 men have fertility issues, because we talk about 1 in 6 couples and we talk about 40% of those couples, but 1 in 6 guys, and that is the same as diabetes. You know, and the coverage and awareness we have of diabetes, I mean, that's not particularly fantastic, but it's certainly better than male fertility. But that's a lot of guys, 1 in 6. So we really need to change the support and information that's available to men, and the more we talk, the better that becomes.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think we kind of covered now this question already, why it's important to speak and get help. So we move into our last question that we got from the audience before, and it's a question for all our speakers. So being proactive with your fertility, what should you do today? I think many people in our audience would like to see what are these actions that you can start to do today to increase your sperm quality.
Yeah. Well, if we're talking about a male, the first thing is, I think you need to check yourself. This is the first step. Males need, as women, they need to check if everything is all right around their breast area and the menstruation cycle. Men need to check their testicle. There are some lumps. If they feel that something is not as it should be, they need to go and have a check at a medical doctor. Otherwise, they need to take a test and see what is the sperm quality right now. You can do it, of course, through a doctor, but also at home. This can be the first step. And find out what parameter may not be perfect, and what you can do to improve it is that you take a look at yourself and see health-wise what can be done. As Ian said, we need to take a look at nutrition. Am I optimizing? Am I eating enough vegetables, fruits, antioxidants? If I'm smoking, that's a no-no. What about alcohol? You can drink a little bit of alcohol because science says that it is not forbidden, but you don't need to bench drink or have more than 14 units a week. So and if you have, of course, some heat exposure to your testicles, that could be from mobile phone, from obesity, or from sitting down too much, you need to eliminate that. Just a quick fun example is that, for example, my husband, he played soccer 3 times a week with really tight shorts. And we found out that this was no-go. And actually, when he removed that a couple of months later, his sperm quality, again tested with ExSeed, it was improved significantly. So sometimes it's small things that you can do. Small habits, daily habits, quit the sugary snacks, the Coca-Cola, lose a couple of weight, be more maybe interactive with your partner to also have the mental health improved, because that's also a really important factor. So maybe enough for me speaking, if you'd like to add.
Yeah, maybe like Ian or Shaun, we're also waiting for your advice. What people can do.
Yeah. I think Fatin covered a lot of it there. It is about, for me, certainly from my aspect, I would always say, yeah, get tested early, but exactly as we've already said, repeating what Fatin said, look at the diet, look at the lifestyle, look at all of those factors. So, and actually, one simple thing that we haven't mentioned for guys is just something simple like regular ejaculation is really important for good sperm health. It's important for prostate health as well. So it's looking at all of these little hints and tips, and I think ultimately kind of a sensible, clean diet, plenty of fish, plenty of vegetables, plenty of water, cut out all the processed stuff, get some good sleep, keep moving, get some exercise. So many of us have a sedentary life. And just follow those, they're very, very simple things. A lot of the stuff I end up working with my clients are very, very simple steps. And most of the people I work with know this stuff, but the problem is they don't do it. So what I have to do is coach them into doing it. So, if you're struggling, then get support as well. Reach out and find somebody who can help you, whether that's a nutritionist, whether it's a fertility coach, whether it's coming and joining us on the infertility support group. Get some help. Talk to people. Over to you, Shaun.
Yeah, maybe Shaun want to also add from your experience.
Obviously, a lot of it's been well covered. I'd like to just reiterate what Dr. Fatin said actually about the mental side of things, because I think that's very important. Yes, you have to have absolutely everything in line physically, but also mentally. A fertility journey is very testing, very hard on the individual and the couple. So just remember to love each other, pace yourself, take it one step at a time as well. My wife and I, our tactic was to not focus to the end of the journey. We took it one step at a time. I always use an analogy of a mountain. You climb the mountain one step at a time. You don't want to focus on the summit, because you could reach what you think is the summit and it's a false summit. So just keep plugging on. Recognize if you are reaching exhaustion, both mentally and physically, and if you are, take a break. We had our fertility treatment stopped because of the coronavirus pandemic. Yes, it wasn't our choice to stop, but we both truly believed that really helped us. We weren't upset about it. We knew there was nothing we could have done to change it, so we just accepted it and decided to enjoy the time together and just work on our health and our diet and enjoy each other, become just happy as a couple and take that time. And then when we resumed our treatment, we were in a really good place mentally and physically, and fortunately it worked after that.
Yeah, I think that importance of talking is crucial, isn't it, for a couple as they go through this journey. Most couples I work with and speak to, this makes them closer and stronger. But a lot of guys do bottle up their emotions and feel they need to be strong for their wife and don't talk. And it's interesting, I think I kind of noted a lot of the names in the chat box were women. And this is so common when I've done these sorts of things, is it's the women that come and listen and learn this stuff. But the guys need to be doing it, and the guys need to be talking, for sure.
Well, on my Instagram account, I can see the analytics of the followers, and 87% of my followers are women.
I can believe it.
So we have a lot of work to do, even still we can say that we also see that women also need to learn more about their fertility. So it's a long way to go, and it's nice that we are doing it, helping. And thank you so much for answering the most common questions that we got from the audience. And I just don't have so much time for our questions that been just asked now, but I will just choose a couple of them that you can probably cover. And it was many people who were asking about specifically a couple of things that can or can't affect male infertility, which is coffee, cycling, and intensive training in the gym. Because I know you covered alcohol already, but those three things, many people asked if you can probably say, do they affect male infertility? And what would be your advice for coffee, cycling, and intensive training?
Well, for coffee, to start out with that, we advise that a couple of coffee, depending on how the size of it, but 1 to 3 or 4 cups a day is all right. But if it's more than that could affect sperm quality. For cycling is mostly if you take breaks, how many times a week you do it. If it's like long cycling, a couple of hours, or if it's just 20 minutes. But actually, some of the papers, they show that sometimes only 2 or 3 times of cycling weekly, where you have tight pants, that could affect sperm quality. So maybe the months where you are trying to get pregnant, you could maybe go to something else that could be running or rowing or doing some weightlifting instead, and only maybe go cycling once. So it's just to say that we have some evidence that show that it can be negatively affected. So why take the chance of doing it? So maybe take 4 or 5 months where you try to avoid that and see if that has some effect. And what was the last thing? It was excessive training. Again, the same as cycling. Some studies show that it can be too much. So too little is not good. Too much is not good. So you need to be a little bit of normal in this area. So 2 to 3 times of exercising session where you have 40 to 60 minutes combining cardio and strength training would be excellent. Training more than 5 times a week, that would be too much. And we see that both for women and men, that could maybe not stop production of sperm, but at least have creating a lot of oxidative stress in the testicles, which can affect again sperm DNA and sperm quality. So try to be normal in this area.
Yeah, I think what I say to a lot of my clients around this is moderation. Moderation is key with things like coffee and cycling and the weight training. I think one thing to add with the gym that maybe we haven't mentioned is things like protein shakes, and certainly anabolic steroids are absolutely horrendous for sperm health. But if a guy's going to the gym and he's using a lot of protein shakes, you've got to question what effect they are having on the body. And some protein shakes, I understand, can contain anabolic steroids legally without them being on the ingredients. So, I would, again, it all comes back to the diet stuff. I would say to a guy, okay, moderate your exercise, cut out the protein shakes. Let's get some guys doing some yoga or some Tai Chi or something a bit more calming and relaxing, to cope with the stress. But, that's my personal opinion. I'd rather do yoga than go anywhere near a gym.
It's a good advice, and I think quite similar for women fertility as well, is to not to do too much. So I think there was also a question that probably you can help is about what kind of vitamins or supplements people can take. If you can probably cover a little bit this question, maybe you can suggest something. Or like what types of vitamins or supplements?
Again, as I mentioned earlier, you need the right supplements in the right dosages. Ashok Agarwal has made a lot of research. He's in Cleveland, and he knows probably one of the most known in male fertility. He also says that it depends on the dosage. So we need selenium, we need zinc, we need vitamin D and A. We also need L-carnitine and coenzyme. These are the top antioxidants that we need, and of course also fish oil. That is important for sperm cell. And we have actually created the ExSeed multi based on what the science has proven to be good for sperm health. And as you can see, our ExSeed multi is not containing a lot of things, but it's only the concentrate on what is actually has been proven to work, because we don't want to fill in with excessive amounts of extracts and natural stuff that may work. We only want things that can work. So if you go into the ExSeed website, on the ExSeed Multi, you have the short list of what we recommend in ExSeed.
All right, thank you so much. I think we pretty much have one more question, but it's more for Shaun, because we have a question in the chat that if you would be willing to chat about the actual donor process, really focusing on the acceptance, but also what was part of your selection process and thoughts on how Converse would go as your children grow up. Maybe if you can't cover it now, if you maybe share the account that you have, and people probably can message you and you can share more.
Yeah. So sorry, do you want me just to share the account?
Yeah, you can probably cover quickly if you can this question, because we don't have so much time, and it's the last question.
Just to kind of cover the really salient points is that I think acceptance is key before you move down the donor route, because if you're going down the donor route to try and patch what you're missing, that the sperm it's not a good idea. You need to accept that you are not going to be that biological father before you go down that route. That was the biggest thing for us. And then in terms of selecting the selection process, I can talk about that in more detail perhaps if they message me. And conversations when the children grow up, we are going to be telling early and telling often. That's what all the advice is these days. The kind of old advice of keeping it a secret has been proven to not be great. And when things come out in the future, especially now with all the DNA testing and ancestry stuff that's about, there's just too many ways for people to find out their true heritage.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm sure that we also will share some of the contacts and some of the pages where you can also check Shaun's page, because male fertility is quite wide topic, a lot of aspects we would love to cover. We'll also have limited time, and I'm sure we probably will do more with our partner ExSeed on covering male fertility. You can always check our website, as we are preparing a couple of blogs posts about male fertility specifically. So I would like to say thank you so much for to our speakers for covering all the questions today, and I hope for the audience you also learn more about male fertility. And our webinar, we will post it on our YouTube channel and share with you the link, so you can always watch after. And just before we finish, as I said, we have some excited offers from us and from ExSeed as well. So if you're new to Mira, or you're not new, but you, for example, need more ones to test, we have a special discount code, Male Webinar, which you can use to purchase or Mira Fertility Plus Starter Kit or Mira Fertility Plus Ones. Just simply go on our website, and the offer will be available till the end of July. And for ExSeed, they also have a nice offer. Again, you just can go on their website and purchase the kits that they have. There is a choice, and start to track sperm quality, because as we know now, it's better to do it earlier than later. And for those who don't live in the UK and in the EU, you can just check our website for other male fertility partners. And just before we finish, of course, we can't finish without our one more survey, one more poll that we would just like to ask. How would you rate the webinar? Would be nice to see your answers, and we will continue to work and try to cover more topics. So I see most of the people happy with the webinar, and they would also recommend it to friends. I think that, yeah, if you follow our channels, we often do webinars pretty much every other month on different topics on fertility, and Yep, you can follow us and you can follow ExSeed to learn more about male fertility specifically. Yeah, and I just want to say big thank you to everyone who joined today to talk about a very important topic. And thank you so much for your time and have a nice rest of your day.